Recorded Books presents When the Shooting Starts, a Smoke Jensen novel of the West by William W. Johnstone and J. A. Johnstone. Narrated by Jack Garrett. Chapter 1.
Hey, Buck! Buck West! Is that you old hoss thief?
The loud, boisterous voice made Smoke Jensen come to a halt on the boardwalk. It had been a good while since he'd heard the name Buck West. When he stopped using it, he had figured he'd probably never hear it again. But now here it was, coming from the mouth of the tall, raw-boned man striding along the boardwalk toward him. The man's ugly face was wreathed in a grin. He wore a duster over canvas trousers, suspenders, and a flannel shirt. The brim of his battered old hat was turned up in front. A holstered Colt swung on the man's right hip. Another revolver was stuck in his waistband on the left side. He had a lean, wolfish look about him that came from riding a lot of dark, lonely trails. Hoot owl trails, some called them. Folks had started using the word owl hoot to describe the men who rode such trails. Smoke had to search his memory for the name of the man who had just hailed him using that old alias. Sutcliffe, he recalled after a moment. Sort of a distinguished name for a gunman and outlaw. His nickname, Rowdy, fit him better. Smoke didn't think he had ever heard the man's real first name. "Hello, Rowdy," he said, willing to be friendly as long as he could. "What brings you here?"
"Why, the same thing as you, I expect, Buck," replied Sutcliffe, as he came to a stop and hooked his thumbs in his gun belt. "I heard that a fella named Franklin was hiring guns, so I come to sign on with him. This here is the town of Fontana, ain't it?"
That took Smoke by surprise. He frowned slightly and said, "You're a little behind the times. Tilden Franklin has been dead for almost a year. This is Big Rock. There's not much left of Fontana. It's fixing to dry up and blow away, like the memory of all the trouble that happened there." Rowdy Sutcliffe cocked his head to the side and gave Smoke a quizzical stare.
"Franklin's dead?" he said. "Are you sure about that?"
"Pretty sure," Smoke said. He didn't add that he had been the one to hammer 3 slugs into the chest of the treacherous would-be emperor of this valley. Sutcliffe peered at him for a moment longer, then shook his head.
"Well, dadgummit, seems like I'm always late to the party. Don't know why I didn't hear about that. Of course, I was down in old Mexico for a while, taking my ease with the señoritas, so I weren't really paying that much attention to what was going on up here in Colorado."
Sutcliffe sighed.
"I reckon I'm plumb out of luck."
Then he brightened and went on,
"Unless you got wind of some other work for the likes of you and me. Shoot, Buck West wouldn't be here unless hell was about to pop."
"Sorry, Rowdy, I don't use the name Buck West anymore, and there's no gun work to be had around here. Big Rock has grown some since the railroad arrived, but it's still small enough to be pretty peaceful."
"Wait."
A frown creased Sutcliffe's forehead.
"Your name ain't Buck West?"
"That's right. That's just what I called myself for a while. Back in the days when he had been riding the hoot owl trails himself, searching for the men he had set out to kill. Men responsible for the deaths of several people he had loved."
"Then, what is your name?"
"It's Jensen. Kirby Jensen. Most folks call me Smoke." Sutcliffe's eyes widened.
"Smoke Jensen," he repeated. "Dang, I've heard that name all right. Fella's supposed to be the fastest draw on the whole frontier. The fightingest son of a gun anybody ever saw."
He let out a low whistle.
"And now, come to find out, Smoke Jensen is none other than my old pard Buck West. What do you know about that?"
Smoke shook his head and said,
Sample complete. Ready to continue?